Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me on In the KM for another video. I'll be doing something a bit different for this one. So I put up a poll on the COYB Facebook page asking supporters to vote for their favourite Falkirk goal. I asked the same question on Pie and Bovril. I wanted to find out what really are the top 10 favourite Falkirk goals as chosen by the Falkirk supporters. So just before we go any further, actually, just a wee disclaimer, the goals featured here are simply ones that were voted for, so can't stress that enough, honestly, and it allowed the option of people adding their own choices into the poll as well, so it's not like it was just options I picked and that's the only choices there were. People had the freedom to choose whatever goal they wanted, so just wanted to make sure we got that out of the way. This list is just a bit of fun. It's not going to be perfect, it's not definitive or anything like that, it's just a laugh. Also, it's important to bear in mind that these are people's favourite goals, not necessarily the best goals. So please bear that in mind before you start shouting at me in the comments demanding to know why Tiger McGuffie's goal at Brockville against Aberdeen in 1971 isn't on the list. There's clearly a bit of recency bias from the results, that can't be denied, but that's also to be expected. I would say though, I'd say that there's a really good mix of goals from maybe over the last 30 odd years or so. Lastly, before I begin the list, please do let me know if you enjoy this type of content, because I will look to do more top 10 lists and other types of videos in the future, and maybe not just do the match reaction and preview videos. So, without further ado, let's begin. Number 10, Finn Yates versus Celtic, Premier Sports Cup, Celtic Park, 22nd of September 2024. So, kicking things off with the most recent goal on this list by far, with Finn Yates' unlikely header that put us 2-1 up at Celtic Park. This goal was special because we retook the lead with this goal against the odds. We'd already actually went 1-0 up through Ross McKeever earlier on in the game, cueing absolute bedlam in the away end by the way. But when Celtic equalised, the majority of us felt that maybe this was as good as it was going to get for us on the day. All we wanted was a moment, and we'd already been given that moment through Ross McKeever. So Finn Yates, however, had other ideas. An Agyeman's brilliant ball was steered into the bottom corner via Finn's head, with Kasper Schmeichel helpless to stop it. The ensuing scenes in the away end were what could only be described as absolute carnage. In that moment, right on the stroke of half time, I dare anyone to deny it, every single bairn in attendance believed that we could win this game. Any team can take an unlikely lead, but retaking the lead was huge. The Celtic supporters were genuinely fearing the worst, and it took Rodgers bringing on the likes of Engels and the very impressive Kuhn to rescue the day for them. A goal that will surely live long in the memory, that's for sure. From the depths of despair at Airdrie to being 2-1 up at half time at Celtic Park, the difference 16 months makes. Only other thing I want to say on this is it's not going to be the best goal that's scored on this list, but it seems to be a lot of people's favourite goal right now. Again, we talk about the recency bias, that's always going to be a thing. I'm happy to include this on the list because I having experienced the goal live in person as well, I know how absolutely mental that away section went. It was truly something else, it was pretty special. Number 9, Simon Stainrod versus Celtic, Scottish Premier Division, Brockville Park, 19th of October 1991. Simon Stainrod snatches the winner in a game full of drama as he latches onto a Crawford Baptiste cross, scoring a diving header from an incredibly tight angle, with Falkirk going on to win the match 4-3. On the goal, Simon Stainrod had this to say in an interview: "That was one of my favourite goals. I've got a picture of that. It looks like I've just headed it from behind the goals." Sadly, there appears to not be any video footage of this particular goal. Believe me, I did try to find it. And sadly, this won't be the last time I say this on this video, especially with a Simon Stainrod goal. You all know exactly what goal I'm talking about. I'd say I'm spoiling an entry, but come on. Like I say, you all know exactly what goal I'm talking about. But aye, it's incredible that there's not any footage of this goal when you think that it wasn't even that long ago. I mean, we say the early 90s, but it wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of things. It was against Celtic of all teams. If anyone is aware of video footage existing of this goal, please do let me know in the comments and I'll provide a link in the video description. But from speaking with other supporters, there's a lot of people who really cherish this goal and say that the finish was just absolutely ridiculous and that Stainrod had no right at all scoring from that angle. Number 8. Richie Cadet versus Rangers, Coca-Cola Cup, Ibrox Stadium, 31st of August 1994. Oh what a night, late August back in 94. Unfancied Falkirk, who had faced the agony of relegation in the 92-93 season, only to immediately bounce back the following season, travelled to Ibrox to take on a Rangers team full of international recognition, with the likes of Richard Gough and Brian Laudrup in the starting lineup. Falkirk hadn't won at Ibrox since 1927 and were a newly promoted team. Rangers were supposed to win this match, but nobody told Richie Cadet. Criticised in the lead up by then manager Jim Jeffries due to his profligacy, my god that's a hard word to say, in front of goal, Cadet answered his gaffer in the most sensational way possible by not only scoring once but twice. The second goal is the one that we're talking about today, and the second goal is a ball over the top by Fulton, and Cadet finds himself one-on-one with Gough, who he beats for pace. Then he slots low past Andy Gorham in goal, sparking absolute bedlam in the Copeland Road end at Ibrox. The absolutely wild celebrations that took place at the Wallace Tavern in Reddenmuirhead once the bus returned from Ibrox later that evening became a thing of legend. Well, to me anyway. I grew up in Reddenmuirhead after all, a result that lives long in the memory, so it's no surprise Cadet's second goal does in fact make it onto this list. Number 7. Will Vaulks versus Rangers, Scottish Championship, the Falkirk Stadium, 19th of December 2015. Is this the best goal on the list? No, probably not. It's not even the best goal that Falkirk scored against Rangers that season, but it was a good goal, scored by a beloved player in a big match against a big opponent, and it was the winner. It's elevated too by the now iconic goal celebration, which saw Vaulks doing a cartwheel and a somersault, which surely resulted in a few injuries on trampolines up and down the town, with Waynes trying to replicate it. The Falkirk side of this era were a constant thorn in the side of Rangers, and this was the first of 2 wins over them that season, as the Bairns went on to secure a playoff spot. More on that later. Both teams headed into the match off the back of disappointing draws, where Rangers had drew 2-2 at home to Morton, and Falkirk had found themselves on the end of an incredibly frustrating 1-1 draw at Easter Road, conceding a 92nd minute equaliser despite Hibs being down to 10 men for the entire second half. Falkirk hadn't been able to defeat Rangers or Hibs, again, more on that later, so this was a big statement win, so I appreciate why people rank this goal so highly. Number 6. Kevin McAllister versus Huntly, Scottish Cup 3rd round, Brockville Park, 23rd of January 1999. So, I can practically hear the steam coming out of some Bairns' ears with the placing on this one. I'm really surprised this particular goal didn't rank higher if I'm honest, but the people have spoken. The end result here shows a comfortable win against lower level opposition, with the previous year's semi-finalists and finalists the year prior running out 3-0 victors, but the truth is it took into the second half before the deadlock was broken. Heading into the last 4 minutes of the game and already winning 2-0, Kevin McAllister wins the ball back inside his own half, and then, again what, I'm just going to play the video of this goal because nothing I can say will do it the justice it deserves, genuinely. Gordon Smith infamously didn't even award this goal as the goal of the round in this cup, presumably due to the level of opposition, but I just think that's incredibly unfair. This is a wonder goal, and were this a list of the greatest Falkirk goals, it would almost certainly be in the top 3, it would have to be. The technique that McAllister displays here is special. The tenacity to win the ball back, the drive forward with it, his energy levels surely depleted as well, and bear in mind that he was 36 at the time. And then the fantastic close control of the ball on, let's be honest here, a pretty rough pitch is just so impressive. The composure to not lash at the ball after he's beaten about 600 defenders is beyond classy. How often do we see when players get past all these defenders that they just don't have the composure, they get a rush of blood and you hit the ball straight at the goalkeeper or they blaze it miles wide. All he does is he just lifts the ball with the inside of his right foot and sends it high into the net, the goalkeeper having absolutely no chance. It's an absolutely terrific goal, and yeah, I've already said it, I'm going to be a broken record here. I can't believe this only is number 6. Come on. Number 5. Craig McGuffie vs Peterhead, SPFL League 1, the Falkirk Stadium, 4th of March 2023. A remarkable performance, both individually and as a team. Craig McGuffie scored a hat-trick in this game as Falkirk ran out 5-0 victors. This goal saw a poor kick-out from the Peterhead keeper Mackenzie, which landed perfectly for McGuffie near the touchline and inside his own half. McGuffie took one touch to steady himself and then unleashed a half volley, which incredibly soared towards goal and nestled in the back of the net. Incredible technique. The reaction to this in the KM stand was a mixture of sheer joy and utter disbelief at what they had just witnessed, surely replicating how older bairns must have felt at McDermott Park all those years prior, but a bit more on that later, maybe. McGuffie is somewhat of a maligned figure at Falkirk, but nobody can take away what he accomplished on that particular day at the Falkirk Stadium, and it's his real claim to fame. Fantastic stuff. Number 4. Simon Stainrod vs St Johnstone, Scottish Premier Division, McDermott Park, 21st of September 1991. The perfect segue to talk about another effort from the halfway line, this time by none other than Simon Stainrod. Yet again, we're talking about a moment of genius from Stainrod, and yet again, I can't show you any footage of it. And as the story goes, Alex Totten, Mr Falkirk, was manager of St Johnstone at the time, and whilst the game wasn't televised, St Johnstone did record club footage of the match, a fairly standard practice. Falkirk had just conceded an equaliser with Paul Smith, Smudger, giving it away under dubious circumstances, with the Falkirk faithful feeling incredibly aggrieved to have conceded. Alex Totten had this to say when asked about it in an interview. We were playing Falkirk and Simon Stainrod scored an unbelievable goal from the halfway line. We'd just come back to 1-1 and our keeper, Lindsay Hamilton, was still celebrating. Simon saw this and straight from the kick-off smashed it in over his head. The BBC and STV were all asking for the club video of the goal, and I was thinking, wait, I love Falkirk, but this makes my keeper look bad. So I taped over it with a John Wayne movie, and to this day I get pelters about it. Even Simon has phoned me asking if I really have it. It's honestly so disappointing, by the way, that we can't celebrate and appreciate this goal in the way that it deserves to be. But here's an interview with Stainrod where he does discuss the goal. It's the best we can do.
But Falkirk skipper Simon Stainrod cracked it last week against St Johnstone. And he's been reminding his teammates how it was done.
I'd seen Lindsay off his line quite a lot in the game, and when they were on the attack, he seemed to stand quite a long way out of his goals. And as we lost the goal from the penalty, I was walking up to take it, and Kevin McAllister was already on the centre line waiting. And I noticed he was off his line again and not really concentrating. And so I just shouted at Kevin, just touch it. And luckily, got very good contact and the ball flew in.
Will you be trying that one again?
Well, I'll probably try it on Saturday, yeah, because no one's heard about it now.
Number 3. Paul McGrillen vs Celtic, Scottish Cup semi-final replay, Ibrox Stadium, 23rd of April 1997. From speaking to supporters, there seems to be a divide on this one, with some feeling that Kevin James's equaliser 10 days prior, which forced this game to the replay, was more iconic. This goal is special because it saw Falkirk, again unfancied, triumph over a star-studded Celtic side to reach an unlikely Scottish Cup final. There's also the sentimentality reason here, which cannot be understated. Both David Hagan, supplier of the ball for the goal, and Paul McGrillen, the scorer, are no longer with us, with Hagan sadly losing his life to motor neuron disease on the 24th of July 2020, aged 47, and Paul McGrillen taking his own life on the 29th of July 2009 at age 37. I may look to do a video focusing on the 1997 Cup run in the future, as I would like to talk about this team in more detail. Just want to say as well, rest in peace Hagan, rest in peace Mowgli. Number 2, Kevin McAllister vs Hearts, Scottish Cup semi-final, Ibrox Stadium, 4th of April 1998. It was always going to be on this list, let's be honest. Again, if we think of the greatest goals scored by Falkirk Football Club, I think this one is probably top, but this is just how the voting went. Just a wee sidebar here. See, just in researching for this video, really found another level of appreciation for Kevin McAllister. I knew he was good, I knew he was really good, but he truly was a special player for this football club, and the 2 goals on this list by him are absolute worldies, pearlers. This Falkirk team dared to cause a repeat of the previous season, but unfortunately fell a bit short. McAllister equalises with around 5 minutes left to play, but Falkirk lost a couple of goals late on. This goal is remembered not only for the skill, but also because of this performance. For many, this was McAllister's best performance in a Falkirk shirt. I just find it amazing that he was performing at such a high level despite being 35 at the time. I mean, the 2 goals on this list, he's well over 35 for both of these. He roasted Gary Naismith in this match, who, bear in mind, played many times for Scotland. I'd love to do a video giving a more in-depth look at McAllister's Falkirk career. If anybody would be interested in something like that again, please do let me know, because it would be my absolute pleasure to look on this guy's career. What a player. Before we talk about the number 1 pick, I'd like to discuss some honourable mentions. Goals which didn't end up on the list, but really deserve to still be mentioned regardless, as they still had a lot of votes and people were still talking about them a lot in the comments. First off, Mark Miller versus Rangers, a 90th minute free kick that sees Falkirk triumph over Rangers in the League Cup in 2011, sparking absolute scenes in the KM, but South Stand at the time. Brad Spencer versus Alloa, 5 minutes to go, and Falkirk are losing 2-1. The stakes could not be higher, as it's the last game of the season and an invincible season is on the line. Brad scores a penalty with an unimaginable amount of pressure on him. Falkirk end the 23-24 season as invincible champions thanks to Brad's enormous cojones. Peter Grant versus Inverness, the equaliser in the Scottish Cup final of 2015. Sadly, Falkirk may never have a better opportunity to win the cup, but it simply wasn't to be. The noise when Grant's header hits the back of the net is truly something else, and you'd be tricked into thinking there were 50,000 inside Hampden roaring on that goal that day. Kevin James versus Celtic. I'm really shocked this isn't on the list, to be perfectly honest, troops. Truly, Falkirk ripped up the script and denied Celtic their passage into the Scottish Cup final in 1997, forcing the replay, and we all know what happened next. Kevin James, playing up front, hits a bullet header in, and Falkirk managed to hold out and force the replay. Lastly, Luke Leahy versus Livingston. A truly remarkable effort as Leahy hits a shot from a ridiculous angle that ends up in the top corner of the net. I had absolutely no right even attempting that, never mind scoring it. Speaking of Luke Leahy, number 1, Luke Leahy versus Hibs, Scottish Championship playoff semi-final, Falkirk Stadium, 13th of May 2016. Well, you voted this number 1, so don't look at me. In all seriousness though, this goal is an absolute beauty and by far my favourite type of goal. I'm not saying this is my favourite Falkirk goal, I'm saying it's my favourite type of goal, where someone just runs onto a loose ball and hits it as hard as they can and the ball flies into the back of the net at 100 miles an hour. It's goals like these that cause absolute carnage in the stands, limbs you might even say. Some of my favourite goals when I was younger were the likes of Wayne Rooney versus Newcastle and Steven Gerrard versus West Ham, so this goal was right up my street. This goal brought Falkirk level and gave them the platform to go on and win the game against Hibs, courtesy of a late Bob McHugh goal. Sadly, it wasn't to be in the final as Falkirk simply ran out of steam and couldn't cope with Kilmarnock, but this goal is fondly remembered for not only the technique, but also the importance of the goal. Interestingly enough, Leahy's goal against Livingston earlier in the same season, which won the Falkirk goal of the decade in 2020, didn't even feature on this list, yet 2 other goals from that decade do. Go figure. Well, that's it for this video. I really do genuinely hope you all enjoyed it, and I have to admit, I was surprised at how much work this ended up being, with even just the script for this one taking hours. This was, however, a labour of love, and doing all the research and listening to all the fellow supporters regaling me with tales of just how much these goals meant to them, where they were at the time and what it was like in the stands that day and who they were with, people talking about being at games with their grandparents that are no longer with us, family members. It's these moments is what football's all about, isn't it? It's been an absolute pleasure compiling all the information for this video, it really has. What's your favourite Falkirk goal though? Is it on this list? Let me know in the comments below, and as I said earlier, if you like this type of content, let me know about that too, and I'll do more videos of this type. Right, I'm away for a wee lie down now. Bye bye.